How you doing? Well, in response to the young and old video, the answer is simple. Ephesians 5, verses 1 and 2. I'll read it. Therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love, just as Christ also loved you and gave himself up for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God as a fragrant aroma. So in the beginning of that scripture is to get context. He's telling them how you walk in the spirit, and one of the ways that you walk in the spirit is in love, the agape love. That's the love that God demonstrated when, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. That's the love that you show the younger generation. But it's also so easy for the younger generation to blame the older generation for their actions and their rebellion. The younger generation cannot do that. It's easy to point the finger, but the younger generation also has to love. The younger generation also needs to listen to those that are their elders. And a lot of times the younger generation thinks that they know it all, and we don't. You know, I today came to my parents' house, and I had borrowed something from my mother, and I didn't take care of it. And she came to me and said, you left this thing that I gave you a mess. Now, most young people would sometimes argue and say, well, I'm a grown adult. What you gonna tell me what to do? But I didn't do that. I wanted to. I didn't want to fix the problem, but I knew that I must love. I have to love. And that's what the younger generation needs to do. We need to love. We need to listen. So we can't sit back and always blame and say, well, the older generation, they were hypocrites. Well, yeah, now that you've been faced with the love of Jesus Christ, what are you going to do? Are you going to love? Are you going to follow after Christ? Young Christians should obey what the scripture commands. And the scripture commands to love. And that's an unconditional love. That's a love that is of action. That's a love that generates a response in a Christian. If you have Christ in you, Christ loves. You should be responding to Christ in you. So Pastor John, dealing with a rebellious young person, love is what you give them. And sometimes that love is tough love. Sometimes that love is, when you've had it up to here, it's in the best interest that that young person depart. But he or she will always remember that love. Because when you come into an encounter with the love of Jesus Christ, you will not leave the same way you came. So, older generation needs to love as Christians, those that are older Christians, but the younger Christian generation needs to love as well, and to listen to their elders, because younger generation, we don't know everything. We don't. And the older Christians have been through a lot more than we ever have. They've matured in their Christian walk. They have something that they can share with us. And we need to have our ears open and listen to that. Also, too, I've learned I was a rebellious teenager myself. And I'm seeing a lot of the things that my parents warned me about, I'm facing now. And that they were right. So I encourage the younger generation to listen in love. It's been a difference maker. God bless.